Obviously, they sell pipe dreams in adverts, but I've never seen it such blatant bullshit in my life.
What is he able to do with the players that he has, and is he currently maximizing the potential of the nation?
If you're a good golfer, but you're a beige character, you're not there.
But if you're an England rugby fan, I'm watching that game, I'm going, well, is this all we got? Is this all we can do?
Is it in case you have to do 20 burpees on the flight, or?
My bro, I went full function, less form.
Give me an L, give me an E, give me an S. Eagles.
Oh, shit, yeah, no.
Bench Opinions. 3 idiots with amateur analysis.
Welcome back, guys.
Nice.
Nice to be here.
It's good to be in your presence.
We're back in the same room. No delay.
It's true. No
And-
echo.
And your FaceTime is actually maintained, so now it all looks like we're on holiday together.
I got a little bit of sun yesterday playing golf. It was sunny, 3 degrees.
Oh yeah, you played golf.
Maxi
I won.
came home with a big prize for our
Yeah.
house.
With
Me and
the...
Ramona.
Oh, nice. But what
Yeah.
did you shoot?
2 under.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Did you also tee off the ladies' tees?
No. It's not bad, eh?
That's brilliant going.
Because she only putted.
What are the greens?
So I had to keep shit together there.
What are the greens saying, eh?
No, hectic.
Okay.
Very
terrible.
bumpy. Yeah.
Okay. But it's
Like
alright.
a-
I mean, it's deep winter now.
Like a road in Mpumalanga there.
Nice.
Potholes.
Potholes, some longer sections. Yeah.
Nice.
No, it was good.
Nice.
Ask him what happened on the 14th.
What happened on the 14th?
Par 3.
Oh, shit. We just birdied the 13th. And then as we're walking up to it, I was telling our playing partners, it's quite a tricky hole, this, because you can hook it out left. Yes, did I hit that thing far left over the fence? Yun.
After they had just said to him, it's the easiest hole on the course.
That is not the easiest hole of the fucking course.
It's the easiest on the scorecard, stroke-wise. That's stroke 18.
Good for them, but
Yeah.
but listen,
It was the tees were all the way at the back. It was 170 meters into a slight breeze,
No, I
out of
hate
bounds left, water right.
that's why every time I get there, I literally I John Rahm it back foot, just try and get it somewhere where I don't have to have a full swing at it.
That's what I was thinking.
But then Ramona kept it together, put you on the
Ramona
green.
put us in front of the green,
Okay.
and she did well with that. It's like she gave me license to just
Smash it.
smash it, and then
Good.
if I didn't, she would put it like 150 down the fairway. So it was all right.
Nice.
Yeah. Should we start with some weekly observations?
Yeah. I can kick us off.
Go for it.
It's sorry to stick to this theme, but it will be the last time I mention this theme in a while. But it's got to do with flying because I flew back from South Africa on Friday. And the reason I say this is because today I was driving through the streets of Berlin. It was really sunny today. It was really nice. And I come around the corner and I see a billboard by Lufthansa. And the billboard says, it starts with a yes. And the image that these motherfuckers have used is this couple, as the sun comes through the window, they've got 3 seats, but there's only 2 people sitting there. There's a gap between the seats, and she's lying on her partner. It's also a multiracial couple. And they're lying on each other, and their slogan is, it all starts with a yes. And I think back to my experience on Friday. Granted, it wasn't with Lufthansa, but Lufthansa are a fucking terrible airline. You could not have used an image that's less representative of flying in this modern world. It was atrocious.
But what is your observation that marketing isn't real?
No. Salad.
Surprise. Instagram versus reality.
Nah, look, obviously they sell pipe dreams in adverts, but I've never seen it such blatant bullshit in my life.
Well, I'm surprised they don't, because they usually use business class images to advertise flights.
Anyway.
The fact that they use economy is already one step closer.
So, I mean, maybe, marketing is a thing. That's why they put Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on our toilet paper during Christmas, apparently. But I couldn't, I sat in that plane. Our first flight was okay. The second flight, we had to sprint for the gate because the first flight was delayed for 2 hours and we had to sit on the plane because the pilot, as he pushed back, realized, oh shit, there was a weight and balance problem. So to get the guys back with the forklift and move cargo around in the plane until it said, good, we're ready to go.
Did he notice because like half the plane was starting to lift off the ground?
I don't know. He says we've had a bit of a technical issue here. Anyway.
Shifted during transition.
Anyway, so that happened, but then the flight was actually okay. And then the second flight, we sprinted for the gate. And I honestly, the way people, at some stage, I realized this kid right before we got on the plane, and he was a super cute little kid. And I was like, okay, cool. Don't know if I want to be stuck close to him on the flight, but his parents seem to have him under control. He seems well-mannered and he's really cute. Fine. Get on the plane. Who's sitting right next to us? These parents with the kid. in essence, not a problem. The biggest problem, though, was as soon as we'd taken off, I looked to the left, both parents, the dad's got his head like rocked back like her sleeping. The mother's full on taking the blanket and put it over her head and she's sleeping. And this kid is jolling, bro. He's got his headphones on. He's screaming. And the dad sort of looks up out of one eye and he's like, he hasn't burnt the fucking plane down yet. So I'm just going to go back to bed. I'm not joking. 45 minutes. These parents both slept and this kid had a party, bro. And I was like,
They've got like 300 babysitters next to them. It's not their problem.
Fucking believable. So I got really enraged by the billboard today. Got flashbacks of our flight, but I'm glad it's over. And now I'm doing the good man's work to try and afford business class. That's my
exactly the attitude I came back with as well.
I was like, fuck this shit.
I've been doing a lot of research as to what credit cards to use and how to use them so as to best get upgrades. And
do you want an Amex? There's a good referral bonus happening at the moment.
Costa's already got me on that. If I get an Amex, I have to give it to him.
Why?
Because he gave me it first. When I was at his house, he was already like...
This is nonsense.
He's done the same with me. He sent me all sorts of links and like, reviews.
How to maximize your
How is it that the one doctor in our family is such a fucking schnorr, bro?
Well, the thing is, he gave me like links to follow on how to use the credit card and stuff like that. But I mean, in essence, if you spend a lot of money, then you've got to...
Exactly, yeah.
Currently, though, my spending on my credit card gets me nothing. So...
Yeah, even me.
Yeah.
0.
Should probably spend less money on my credit card, but that's a problem for another day.
Different conversation.
Yeah.
All right, Klaus.
I'm sorry your fucking flight was so
That's
emotional.
okay. It happened at I think it was terrible for everyone.
But think back to the last time you ever had a great 10-hour flight. Because I struggle.
I do feel like I might be the problem. I think I've become less tolerable in my age. Because I did think back to that and I was like, the last time I flew, and even like Zonia and I flew, I was like, it's fine. Like it was actually okay. I slept. It wasn't too bad. But this time, look, the flight there was terrible because I was sick, which is even worse. This time when I flew back, I wasn't sick, but the guy next to me was definitely sick. So it was an interesting experience. Yeah.
My observation of the week is actually also in traveling, so it's a good segue that you've just brought us into. And my observation in particular is about you, Dominic.
But our little tolerance he has for other travelers.
No,
I've already admitted it. You don't have to fucking...
No, don't you worry. My observation is what people dress in to travel.
Yes.
And which made me laugh because Dominic just hinted towards having to sprint for his next flight. It's very beneficial that Dominic wears the clothes that he wears because he had a second skin leggings with sports running shorts over the top and tackies. So he was well equipped to make that next flight.
Is it in case you have to do 20 burpees on the flight or?
My bro, I went full function, less form. And I like to be comfortable. And guess what? I was fucking uncomfortable. So it clearly didn't work. Guess what? The leggings and the activewear doesn't stop the guy's elbow next to you poking you in the side for 11 hours.
So you need to get that like hockey goalie gear.
What do you wear when you travel, Klaus?
No, I'm not saying I'm traveling in comfort, but I just wear a pair of comfortable jeans and a t-shirt. So
I wouldn't wear jeans traveling because I find jeans you need to wear like some comfortable joggers. You don't have to necessarily wear them going to the airport. That's if you really care about what you look like. Some people like have like an airport outfit, and then as soon as dinner's been served, they get in and then they get dressed in what Dom wore the whole day.
I don't get that uncomfortable in my jeans though, so I'm not.
I don't know if you really know what comfort is if you haven't tried it. Because
I mean, dude, you've seen me at home. Like, I don't even take my jeans off then. I'm pretty comfortable in my jeans all the time.
Unless you're in your bed, then it's your train pants that are not allowed in your bed.
Those come off immediately before I go into bed. But not only Dominic, but other people also dress up in all sorts of interesting get-ups. And the one stark comparison that I had was this lady who was dressed to the nines, but not dressed for winter. So I don't think she realized where she was flying to because she had a mini skirt on, stilettos, and then like a little sort of, I don't even know what it's called, like some sort of like blazer type thing with a blouse underneath. And I was like, I wonder if
she's sitting in the back with you.
Yeah, that as well. I was also like,
Dress
yes,
for the job you want, huh?
she's trying to get an upgrade. Yeah.
But she's the type of chick that gets off the plane and goes, I'm so jet lagged, even though she hasn't moved a single time zone. I love people like, it's like, oh, Shane, man, you must be so jet lagged. I'm like, have you heard of geography?
Do you think that they give upgrades based on if you dress the part? Do you think if I go in joggers and a t-shirt, they'll be like, this guy doesn't belong in business class?
I think 20 years ago, if you were asking for an upgrade, you were more likely to get it if you fit in with the type of
crowd.
society that was in the front. I don't think that's relevant anymore.
Now the crowd back there, the crowd in business class is hard to pin down because often it's like one family with 3 kids, and for some reason the dad has so much money that his like 9-year-old child gets to lie in a business class seat.
Yeah, the other seats are all like 15 influencers.
Now that you say that, I remember being on a flight as a kid, and there were these 2 kids next to me, which I was quite stoked about. We played cards and whatever. Before the days you had the screen here, they would just show Love Actually on the screen, like fucking,
and it would
basically
start, like,
in first class, and you're sitting at the back.
Start 3 hours after you took off.
Exactly. And the whole time, like, this woman kept coming back to them and like handing them ice creams and shit. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then they were like, no, that's our mom and our dad. They're in business class, but we don't get to fly business class. And they just kept on getting stuff.
My dad did that with us, except he didn't bring us ice cream.
See you there.
Yeah.
But it is a waste on kids, I feel.
It is a waste, but I also understand if parents don't want to leave their kids at the back with strangers. I think from a certain age, it makes sense. I think my sister must have been like 14 and I would have been like 9, and then it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. My observation does not have to do with travel. I've got a few things. These are not observations in the sense that it's just things that have happened to me during this week. So last week, when I go to gym, it's quite early, and this lady had just walked past the door. It's dark outside, and I close the door. I'm walking behind her, and like maybe 10 meters down the road, she lets rip a massive fart. But like,
No way.
Nice.
like, Jesus. And then I overtook her, and she got quite a fright. So she obviously didn't know that I had come out of the door.
Oh, she thought she was in the clear.
She thought she was in the clear. But it was, and she got such a fright. And then I didn't want to acknowledge it because I didn't want to make it worse. But
What's the demographic here, hey?
no, she was not, I think she was our age. Yeah. And like, listen, she probably made sure the coast is clear. And then just in the wrong moment, I'd come out the door and now was in her slipstream. And then I got the defololado.
How do you play it?
I mean, I just increased the tempo and fucking walked by it, but like I was giggling inside.
You didn't look over and go, nice one.
Well out, buddy.
No.
Better out than in, I always say.
But I think she was quite embarrassed because when she did see me overtake her, she got quite a fright. And then because, I mean, listen, who hasn't done it? Who hasn't checked around if there's someone in the vicinity and just squeeze one out? Maybe she did. Maybe she saw me and was like, don't give a fuck.
He looks like he's into that kind of shit.
Take that.
Did I see you at Kit Kat last week?
The second thing that happened to, not to me actually, but this one I observed. If you've been to German supermarkets, you'll know that the experience once it's your turn is quite stressful. You need to be on it because these tellers will launch your products at you at a rate that you can't pack it quick enough. They are fucking slinging it to you, and you're just trying to make it fit into your bag according to weight and like stuff like that. And in front of me, there was he must have been in his late 60s, something like that. And this guy was disheveled because he was trying to keep up with this lady launching his soup packets at him. And then at the end of it, she says, obviously in German, "Young man, do you have the Rewe app?" So the supermarket app. This oak didn't hear the first time. And obviously then when you go, "Wie bitte?" Now she needs to fucking increase her volume by like 40. "Haben Sie die Rewe app?" This dude's like fucking shocked. Now he doesn't know, I think, what an app is. So he's like, he asks what again. Now she's fucking lost it. She fucking goes off on, "Oh, das kann doch nicht wahr sein." She gets so upset, bro. And I was like, Jesus, I was fucking terrified by the time it was my turn. Because if you look behind the super, like the part where you can pack your groceries is quite small. It must be like the
that
length of
river
the
is
table.
tiny. Eh?
yeah.
Yeah.
So what people do, because they can't handle the heat, is they just put all the shit in the basket, and then you look at the back now. There's fucking oaks on the floor, like packing their stuff. There's people crying.
What in this whole situation, and this is something that I find is relatively common in Germany in those kind of scenarios, is that if you looked at that person, the teller, you would think that they live their lives in a fucking vacuum.
Yeah.
That there is nothing on the other side of this wall of interaction they get to experience.
Yeah.
Because you would think that they'd be like, listen, this guy's old. He hasn't seen an app once in his life.
No.
But no. And it's never, hold on, let me row back here a little bit. It's straight down and through.
Because I mean, you can see they've been given an instruction. You need to ask every customer, have they got the new app? But just like, adopt some like quality control there.
I would go for the more passive thing. I wouldn't ask. And if someone so intensely wants to use the Lever app, they probably will.
I think it's to push it now because it's launched. But
fair
you're
enough.
right. I think I just found it bizarre. Like, obviously, you're quite spoiled in South Africa. There's someone packing your bags for you. It's obviously got to do with the creating jobs and stuff like that. But it's a fucking hectic experience here at the supermarket.
I think I think you see that in many service areas in Germany, and the problem is you've had these people who have been in those jobs for far too long, and so they know all the ins and outs of it. They've dealt with the stuff day in, day out for probably decades,
Yes.
and they just don't understand that somebody else who's coming to their environment might not know how this works. I remember it was on the Spree, on the river that goes through Berlin. You could go for a boat ride, but the timetables of this boat ride company was very confusing. So I asked the lady, I said, sorry, I'm not quite sure from your system here, which boat is next arriving in this harbor or in this port or whatever you want to call it. This lady's like, can you not read? It's on the wall. I said, I can read, but it doesn't make any sense. And I thought maybe you're sitting here with nothing to do and you could explain it to me. Oh, this chick starts screaming at me. I was like, you know what? You will not be receiving my money today.
Oh, God.
I must say, Germany is the place, though, where you go somewhere expecting service and the efficiency is demanded from you.
No.
Like, you will be efficient and then you will wait.
Yeah. It's tough. We also need to watch out with the amount of, but I guess it's not bashing. It's just observations. We live here now. We've got something to compare it to in South Africa.
But then be better. If they don't like it, be better.
It's like our current government. We also
Maybe with the elections coming up, maybe we put our names in the hat there and our slogan is just be better.
What? Bench Opinions, the new party for Germany.
And also just be nice to one another. Stop being such a dick.
Smile. Don't be cuck. Be better.
Speaking of service and don't be a dick, we went to a very interesting restaurant in Cape Town now called Dog's Bollocks. And you walk in there and they've got waiters and waitresses running around. And this waitress comes up to us and just starts shouting at us. And she's like, what the hell are you people doing here now? Can't you see I'm trying to close? And like, well, it actually says you're still open and we just want to get a drink. She's like, oh, for goodness sake. Well, fine, then go sit down in the back.
One of those rude ones.
Yeah.
Did you know beforehand?
No.
Yes.
I didn't know. But then we sat down and we were like, oh, Dominic and Sonia are coming. I was like, Dominic's not going to handle this well. Let me quickly call him. I was on the phone. I was like, Dom, when you walk in, she will shout at you. Don't freak out.
You should have let him walk into that. That would have been amazing.
But hold on. But then I come in and I'm like, cool. Now I know. I'm ready. She shouts at me and I shout back, but like playfully, and she didn't know what to do. So if you're going to Dog's Bollocks in Cape Town, give it back to them and you will win and you will feel good about yourself.
I don't understand those.
I think it was just Dominic who felt good about himself. Nobody else really cared.
I felt good about myself. That's what matters.
Yeah, with the I won part, I don't think anybody won.
What is was it a fun experience? What is the point of a restaurant like that?
I think it was quite humorous. It's almost like a little bit of an entertainment
It definitely
factor.
it breaks the ice as well. And I think obviously I think it still comes down to the level of service you're receiving. I don't think, but in that scenario, it really broke the ice really well. And there was a great rapport. So I think there is, I don't know if there's some other restaurants I've seen where they like get really personal. Don't know if that's the way to go. Like, there's a couple of chains in America and the UK where they're
you have some chicken wings, but you come out with no fucking self-respect.
Yeah. Your wings might be $6.99, but your therapy is like $6.99. You know, so I think maybe that's pushing it, but this was fun.
Yeah.
This one was at least, it turned into banter. So it was good in that vibe, yeah.
They didn't insult my mother and then think I was just going to think it's funny.
Let's dig into your childhood traumas.
Better concept than Hooters, I guess, which is just sexual harassment. So
Of the waitresses.
yeah, not the other way around. Can you imagine if that was the concept of Hooters?
Just walking past you, squeezing your butt.
Sorry, that's part of our concept.
The waitresses say, sexually harassing you. Oh, God. Maybe that's a little gap in the market for us there.
We'll chat about it after the podcast.
Stay tuned. All right. Should we get into some sports?
I think it's good for us to move on.
All right. Let's start with some rugby. Six Nations kicked off on the weekend. 3 very different games. Let's start with France versus Wales, the opener. Klaus, did you watch?
I wasn't able to watch because I was in the air flying.
Okay, cool. Then we won't ask you.
But okay,
Kidding.
Moving on to Dominic.
I was also flying.
Actually, I wasn't flying. I was out for dinner with my parents. So I lied. I was flying during the other 2 games. But the France-Wales game was obviously a very one-sided game. France absolutely dominated. Wales showing a little bit of fight in the first 18 minutes, 17 minutes, something like that. But then I think the combination of your Intermax and your Duponts and your Thomas Ramos.
Not Intermac.
Well, not Intermac because he played well until he got a red card.
Yeah.
Obviously just showing the Welsh still
My
have
boy,
a lot
the winger
to,
there as well. His name's too complicated to pronounce, but number 14. Yay!
At a Songbe or the other one?
double barrel name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Belize.
No. Sorry, not the double barrel name. The number 14.
At a Songbe.
At a Songwe.
No, it was. I was watching the game and Wales did start France had a lot of possession, but Wales did sort of punch back slightly. But yeah, once Dupont started pulling his magic, then it was hard for them to keep up. There was some stuff that he did where I was like forward pass, like stuff that would have been called a forward pass by Klaus.
Would have riled me up.
Yeah.
I think that's where that is scariest though as well, because I think you play with. There was a sense of inevitability to this game. I wouldn't say the scoreline, but the game, and I think that's where Dupont really shines, because he is someone that kind of really tries to just always force the gain line, and he'll play pretty risky rugby, knowing against a side like Wales, knowing how much is really going to come back at us. Particularly as the game wore on. I mean, similarly to the Sharks to lose game. Also, as the game wore on and they got more tired, like just the space opens up, and I think that's where he really like comes to the fore. Yeah. But yeah, France looks so good.
They do look good. People argue that they might only have been in second gear, which you could see. But yeah, commanding performance first up.
What do you think they will be like when they face an opponent that actually has a bit of an attacking shape and a bit of a stronger defense?
We'll see this week.
Because I'm not saying that Wales doesn't have an attacking shape, but they are one-dimensional, and eventually they are predictable. And so for France, it's easy to defend. I mean, you see it with them holding them out to 0.
Yeah, I think with France, Wales is tough because it's like a side that is close to the best in the world, and Wales is really one of the worst sides currently on form. So
I think top-tier nation is the worst.
Yeah. So
what are we saying about Gatland? I mean, or the whole Wales situation? Because for me, I'm looking at this now, and if I'm the Welsh Rugby Union, I'm going, we have to find a way to stop the bleeding. And I don't know how you do it. They don't have the money to get rid of Gatland. But what do you do? Because it's just...
Well, it's this week they have to stop the bleeding, because next up it's Wales-Italy, and that's the only realistic one.
Yeah.
And Italy, I think let's come on to that game maybe. Italy-Scotland.
Let's just stay with Wales for 2 seconds, because that's actually quite an interesting topic. What is Wales going to do? Because I think the difference with where we as in South Africa were in 2017 and prior, is that when Rassie came in, he also became director of rugby, which isn't as far as I'm aware, is not the case for Wales.
No.
He's just the
the head coach
for
yeah.
Wales.
Yeah.
So you got to look at the players coming through the system, and then you look at your Cardiff, you look at your Scarlets, your Dragons, blah 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 blah. And where are they performing at? They're nowhere. So he's got a very, very minuscule.
Cardiff is doing quite well in the URC this year.
True. Cardiff has actually been bouncing back. That's true.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, all of their unions are not like up among. You take a Cardiff to lose, and it's going to be the same as
Take
what
any
we
South
had.
African team to Toulouse as well. We get absolutely fucking thumped.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
But you know what I mean, right? So it's like, what is he able to do with the players that he has, and is he currently maximizing the potential of the nation?
Well, I think the question Dom asks is, do you stop the bleeding? Is he the right guy? Is he the right guy to get a win against Italy and stuff like that? Maybe, probably. It's probably like getting a Sean Dyche in football, like getting a manager who's got a proven track record, who can shore up the ship. But is it like...
I would have said that prior to this run of, 14 losses in a row now? 13? I would have said that Gatland's your guy. But I argue that he's not even getting wins against those teams. He's not eking out results.
But I mean...
And I think you're talking about the best Italy team in a few years.
Yeah, so that's not... I mean, a normal Italy, I think he would have beaten. But Italy are currently on a purple patch, and even against Scotland, they played really well. So the question is then, who else do they play? I think they made the mistake of not scheduling any, if you call them tune-up games, like play against Portugal, play against Georgia. It's going to be tough, but maybe you can get your confidence wins in that way. They set up, they played us in this in June, in the July Test series, and then the end of year tours were against Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa.
I think that's also maybe one of the problems with
Fiji. Yeah, they didn't play New Zealand.
One of the problems with the way rugby is structured and the gulf in class between your top two nations, and they're obviously trying to close that gap, World Rugby, and I think they're making the right moves and the right steps to get there. But who does Wales? Who do they tune themselves up against with the realistic chance of actually improving to get there? Sure, Portugal, decent run around, etc. But that's the problem, and I think that's what's going to scare them, is that they don't want to end up in the abyss of proper second tier, because I don't know how you get back into real top tier and compete in the Six Nations again once you've dropped down that low.
I think they have the depth and quality to eventually fight their way back. They've brought back some experienced players. Someone like Liam Williams is back.
Josh Adams.
So there just needs to be a new culture that's formed, and the young players need to sort of gain that confidence. The question is, if they go wooden spoon again, don't win a single game, where do they then try and get rid of Gatland?
They've got to bite the bullet then. I'm sorry.
I think from the players' side and from the fan side, all faith is lost in Gatland. So even if
this week is do or die.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, to be fair, I think the last game of the Six Nations for Wales is at home against England. And for a game like that, you can always sort of motivate yourself a little bit more. I think the Welsh hatred of the English and the fact that it's in Cardiff could always bring you to another level. So maybe it's not do or die this week, but...
And depending on what the standings are at the end of the tournament, if England's already not contesting for the title, then they might also just say like, okay, well, we're going to test some new players, bleed some new guys, and then, or if you then lose,
Wales has the potential to spoil an English party. I think that might motivate them even more.
Be the kingmakers,
yeah. We'll see. Definitely interesting to keep an eye on. Sure. We'll make this week's matchup between Italy and Wales very exciting. Italy played very well against Scotland, 31-19 for the Scots. A slippery one, I think, for the Scottish first up, because you don't want to lose against Italy at home, but it could happen.
I think Italy in the URC, but now obviously also in the Six Nations, has shown that they are not the whipping boys of the past. And, the way they're being coached by I forget his name, but the Argentinian head coach that they have, they're looking to attack. And it's not just sit back and let yourself be run over. So with your guys like Negri leading from the front, South African boy, and then also your Gabisis and your probably butchering his name, but Capuozzo, I think.
Yeah.
I think he was playing winger
Alfredo?
this time, but Alfredo?
Cafe Alfredo.
Cafe Alfredo. You mean pasta Alfredo?
All the same, right? You've got attacking threats with a lot of X factor. So, the Scots definitely had their hands full. They're trying to keep them out, which they obviously didn't because they were able to score. I think it was 2 tries and then some penalties. That
I think so. Yeah.
Was it Gobisi who was kicking for balls, or was it somebody else?
Mustn't ask me who's kicking for poles, because in our fantasy team I chose Intermac as my kicker, and he does not kick for France.
And Ramos kicked all of them for him.
And even when Ramos went off, the replacement was kicking before Intermac was kicking, and then he got sent off.
Then he was gone anyway. So he
It just proves that I've got no fucking cooking clue what's going on here. Might as well have made a proper kicker.
Oh, that fantasy prediction game that we're playing. We're in a group with like 8 other people, 7 other people, something like that.
The three of us
the
at
three
the
of us are scraping the
Predictor
barrel.
or fantasy?
Fantasy.
Fantasy.
Predictor.
I'm talking about fantasy.
Oh.
I thought I had quite a good week in fantasy.
In Predictor, the 3 of us are at the bottom.
In fantasy, we're also at the bottom.
What?
Yeah.
I thought I had a good week. Hugh Jones scored a hat trick.
Just proves that everything that's said here is amateur.
No, we're saying it ironically.
Last game of the weekend, definitely the highlight fixture of the weekend. Ireland played England in Dublin. 27-22. I assume both of you couldn't watch the game.
I watched it.
Oh, did you?
Mhm.
Okay. What did you think?
So I think Ireland get the job done, and I think that's fair play to them. I think you're seeing issues, certain teething issues to a certain degree. But on the other hand, I question. So Borthwick he's definitely adopted a style of play that's more disruptive and very defensive. And they executed that game really well for large parts. But if you're an England rugby fan, I'm watching that game, I'm going, well, is this all we got? Is this all we can do? Because I'm telling you right now, if England continue to play like this in the modern game, I think back in the day with Jake White and Heineke Meyer to a certain degree, there were abilities to kind of hold back, slow a game of rugby, eke it out and get a win. But I think in the modern game with teams like as dynamic as the Springboks, the All Blacks, Ireland and France, I don't think you can beat them like that. And I question if that's his end game, because on the one hand, I'm like, oh, there were moments where I was like, okay, this is the new English rugby identity. But on the other hand, I just don't see them winning big games like this if these teams turn up, because they're just going to play you off the park. The last 20 minutes, they looked flat as hell, England. They really did. They looked tired. I think the Irish in the first 20, 30 minutes could have scored 3-4 tries easily if it weren't for some handling errors and mistakes. So I don't know. I don't know if that score doesn't flatter England a little bit to a certain degree.
I think it does. It does both for both teams, because Ireland, I didn't think were great either. Like you said, there was issues to be seen. But yeah, on England, their not their claim to fame, but what they were holding on to from last year and from the World Cup was that in the big games they were always in it until the end. But do you take solace in the fact that you're always close losers? Like, when are you going to get it? When are you going to get it over the line?
Yeah.
And you need to beat an Ireland away. You need to beat a France away if you want to be considered one of the best in the world. And like you said, if what they want to do is always be in a game until the end, like you said, other teams will always find a way to eke past them, because it has more to do of shoring up than taking the scruff of the neck and making the game your own.
For me, the interesting thing about this game was the differential in caps that the two sides have. You have an Ireland side that's very old. I think their average age was about 29. And you have an average age with England that was about 26. I think if you look at the caps, Ireland had double the amount of caps that England had. So in that third quarter, you saw Ireland's experience come through.
Yeah.
And them being able to manage a game much better than England can, because they just don't have that experience. And that maybe they're also lacking a bit of leadership in that department. I know Maro Itoje was the captain for this game. Because I'm not a big fan. Is that why
you're not a big fan of him?
He didn't have a great game, it must be said as well. He didn't play well.
So I think that's maybe not Maro Itoje being a captain, but I think the lack of experience is maybe a bit of a factor in terms of the caps. And then the other thing that I think has been spoken about on other podcasts and that I've read in articles, and I can completely see this, is their lack of
their lack of tact when it comes to talking to the ref. They don't seem to get the grub of the green, and they seem to really struggle to communicate with the ref, where the ref sort of empathizes with them and then makes a decision more on, maybe 51% on their side. And when you look at the way that they communicate on the field with one another, and sometimes also with the opponents, there's that arrogance in the way that they speak, and I think it's not doing them any favors. And I think them getting a sports psychologist in to just help them manage the ref,
help them not to be a puss.
Well, there you go.
I think game management is as a total as well. I think it's all good to have an identity as a team, and again, to a certain degree, you kind of want to praise them because Borthwick is stuck. He's found something. I just think he sells them short. And yeah, they're inexperienced and stuff, but I think you have to, it doesn't feel like they're going out to try and win games like this head to head. They're looking for sort of, I wouldn't say a way out, but they're kind of, they're outmaneuvering themselves at times, I think. And I think it's just, you're just not, on paper, you're just not better than these teams. And you have to find a more brave brand of rugby to try and beat them.
Are we changing our tune if they beat France at home next week? Or is that not enough evidence? Because then technically they're in the race to win it again.
Can I be honest? Like, you asked me that question, and for me, I just think they're so far off it. I think the chance of them beating France is like so low. That's just that's my thinking at the moment. And I'm happy to be proven wrong, but that's why I find it difficult to answer that question. And it's for the same reason Ireland ended up getting across the line.
Dominic will eat his hat.
Dominic's like the opposite of what's that one guy that was making Reggie so angry always, who hated on South Africa.
Kieran.
Yeah, Dominic is the South African version of that.
Again, hold on.
Well, maybe we're gone as us some viewers.
No.
Guys, come and hate on Dominic.
Klaus says it's a success if English finished third, and you think they're a fucking one of the worst sides in English in rugby history.
That's not what I said. And also,
Marcus Smith has got the greatest hair in rugby.
Also, don't forget that I praised the English to a certain degree, but I just think the French are too good, and I just don't see Borthwick moving away from this tactic, and I don't think he can beat the top 3 sides in the world using it, and I think it's that easy.
Yeah.
For me, it's too soon to see if this is their long-term identity, as you called it, or if this was just we're going to try this strategy for this particular game against Ireland. But I agree with you, if they do continue with that strategy, I don't see them continuing to beat.
Well, I see similarities in this Irish game as the same game we were at against the Springboks, and a similar approach in the World Cup. So that's where I'm getting sort of the string of what I think their identity kind of is this disruptive, scrappy, defensive-minded team. That's kind of the conclusion I draw, and that's why I'm saying I'm surprised that this is it. I think this is Borthwick's way of doing it, and I don't know if it's going to work.
We'll see. They've got a chance to show it against France. Like I said, they are playing at Twickenham, which gives them, I think, a little bit of a chance. I think if it was in Paris, you'd probably have to say that it would have been a little bit more one-sided, but I think it'll be a good game. They did ask Ireland some questions, and it'll be interesting to see if France can get into first gear, because against Wales, they didn't have to.
One interesting observation, the Irish number 10 role is going to be interesting. I'm a big fan of the way Prendergast plays, but I worry about his size. I think there were signs of him really, and that's what he needs to do as first receiver, moving the ball very, very quickly, but I don't think he offers this ball carrying option that even Sexton used to offer, maybe not as successfully as a Pollard, for example, but he was cool to take it into contact and not feel like the team's losing out. So I'm interested to see if he can bulk up a little bit and grow. And I think similarly can be said about Crowley as well. I don't know. There's this little bit of like an internal battle going on who's going to pick that jersey. But I think the Irish way of playing within this context of the team is so vital and so reliant on that 10 role, particularly coming off the back of Sexton, that they're going to have to try and figure it out. And he also didn't kick very well either.
Yeah. You'll probably see who their number one is based on who they pick against France.
Yeah.
That'll be where their head's at. Everything until then is probably just trying to see who fits in the best.
I think for them, their number one is Prendergast. For me personally, I prefer Crowley. I think he's the more all-round player. But yeah, I guess France is going to be the tester.
They're playing Scotland at Murrayfield this week. I think that's a big game for Scotland. And great that they're playing them at home because it does give them a chance. Murrayfield is a little bit of their fortress sometimes. I'd love the Scots to win that one.
That would be amazing.
Wouldn't be too surprised, to be honest. I honestly wouldn't. Off the back of the Scottish teams also doing so well in the URC. Generally speaking, Glasgow winning last year, and they've sort of found their form this year. That team's young. The Scottish team is like a lot of the guys like your Duan van der Merwes and your Darcy Grahams. Those guys are coming into the prime of their careers now, and they're world class players. So they can do damage.
I think had it not been for the amount of injuries that they've had, and they would have definitely been more of a contender. But yeah, will be interesting to see how they do against a strong Irish team.
Also, on that note, shout out to Hugh Jones for his hat trick. You mentioned it 2 seconds ago.
Was he in your team as well?
He was in my team as well. But I didn't select him as captain.
UCT boy, eh?
Yes, it's unreal, man. Unreal. That guy's so good. Also in the URC.
Saw the photos of him when he played UCT and at the Stormers.
Wow. Little
what a
proud
guy
there, Maxi.
Yeah. And like we already spoke about, the final game of the weekend, or it's actually the first game of the weekend, is Italy playing Wales at home. The fact that it's in Italy, it just makes it so much harder for Wales. But I think in terms of like, not necessarily if you're thinking wooden spoon, because I think we all give Italy more credit these days, but that is the defining one for both. If Italy win, they can sort of go on a run and really contend. If Italy will lose to Wales, then that might take the wind out of their sails.
Do you think Wales has got a chance?
I do. I think they've got more of a chance than anywhere else, and I think there was positives out of the 43-0 loss. Because I think finding a game plan that can beat Italy is a lot more realistic than finding a game plan that can beat France at home.
Here's a devil's advocate question, though. Is it maybe not better that the Welsh lose to Italy?
And get a proper hiding throughout the tournament?
For long term. Because
what if it's just this monkey off the back situation of getting one win?
Could be. I mean, again, I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't know what I would think either or, but I think if they beat Italy narrowly and then go on to get smashed by France and England and Ireland, then you ask yourself, are you just avoiding the inevitable? But
worth it.
Dominic wants Gatland's head.
Yeah.
Don't like him very much.
Yeah, I think after that Lions tour,
I don't.
He's lost a lot of favor with a lot of.
Also, I'm not a big fan of people that don't know when it's time to
move on.
A lot of football coaches that
and players. We can talk about that now,
which I think is a good segue.
Sorry, I just wanted to make one more note on throughout Russi's career, there's been a lot of criticism about the bomb squad, about the 6-2 split, the 7-2 split.
True.
And then what does France do on the weekend?
6-2 split, and they all came on at the same time.
And the bomb squad. Yes. And I'm like, guys.
I think there was the usual commentators who lost their shit must have. I hope that they were just as upset. Although they'll probably play it off as this is Russi's work, and it's It's always considered as this is dangerous for the sport.
This is rich coming from me, but I think let's just let them play. You guys go do it. Keep talking. Just go do copy us. Just do it.
Russi's going to go for a 4-4 split and then run circles around all of the fatties.
Russi's going to have 7 scrum halves on the bench. Then we'll see what's going to happen.
Only South Africans can take a conversation about the Six Nations and make it about South Africa.
100%. We're the greatest team ever.
On that
and you
note,
can stamp that on your bum.
On your bum?
Is that a saying?
Stamp that on your bum.
Stamp that on your bum.
It is now.
Okay.
Yes, we keep pushing the boundaries of broadcasting on this podcast. It's fantastic.
I don't know where I was going with that sentence. Then I panicked.
Right. Should we get into some football?
Let's talk about the Premier League. This was a week full of high highs and low lows.
Oh.
Some big scores. Should we start with what happened to Man United?
Yeah, it's not good. And I think this is the lowest I felt this season.
Oh.
No, not as a United fan. This season.
In life.
Although close, to be honest. I think it's going to keep happening. We're going to start seeing a bit of progress here and there, and we're going to keep being brought back down to earth. And I think it's something we're just going to have to get used to. The sad thing is, though, that the whole club seems to be going through massive turmoil. We've let Rashford go, which I think is the right decision. let Anthony go on loan, which seems like a smart loan. He won man of the match in his first game back, which is wild. I watched his highlights though, and he was still terrible. So La Liga, I don't know what La Liga are doing, but anyway, and doesn't look like we're going to get a replacement in, and I think.
Aren't you getting that striker from Bayern?
No, he's gone to Spurs on loan.
I thought he didn't want to go to Spurs.
Just got confirmed, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so, anyway, so it's sad to see the club in such disarray. I think...
I mean, sad, in parentheses.
Well, for me.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about your feelings.
Everybody else doesn't care.
The one thing that I really am heavily annoyed at is the first calls for Amarim's head already out of United
really?
fans. Yeah. But it's just this...
But it's the online fan base.
But I don't know who it is, but it's this delusional sort of thing that comes from United fans year in, year out since since Ferguson, that there's just no willingness to understand that this club just isn't where it was when Ferguson left.
Yeah.
And that we're gonna have to suffer. And I've kind of just I've accepted now. I think one has to judge Ruben at the end of next season and the new ownership, and I think everything else is gonna suck. It's gonna suck for a bit, but it is what it is. The performance actually wasn't too bad. I think just to come back to the footballing side, the performance wasn't too bad. United started very well, and we hit the post early on, and we could have been easily 2-0 up within the first.
For the stats.
Yeah, good for the stats. But that's the way this works. A couple of those chances go in, and we could be sitting here and United have won the game. So I just think it's part and parcel of the journey we're on, and we'll have to see where it goes.
Sorry. I'm smiling, but I'm sorry that you're going through this.
That's all right.
I'm smiling, but internally, I'm also happy.
That's all right. That's all right.
Tell us what happened to your team there, Maxi.
Yeah, I'll just quickly, briefly discuss Liverpool beating Bournemouth. Could have been a tricky one. Bournemouth really on a roll. I think they were unbeaten in a lot of games, and they just dispatched Nottingham Forest 5-0 the week before, so it was a good victory. They did hit our post I think 4 times. So that game could have ended very differently if Clivert would have been able to score an open goal. But yeah, 2-0 victory.
What are we saying about the penalty?
It's a penalty.
Okay.
I mean,
moving on.
Listen, if you're moving at that speed, the slightest touch can...
The game is gone.
Gakpo's not a diver. If it was someone else...
I'm not calling him a diver, but I don't think it's a penalty. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You won. Congratulations.
We won. And it's good because I was reading the fixture list to Klaus yesterday. Liverpool has 2 months of just intense fixtures, playing against we're playing Everton twice, we're playing City, we're playing Newcastle. So there's a lot of potential for slip-ups, which is why I wanted City to come to the party yesterday.
And they did not.
They did not.
Maxi was hoping for Arsenal to get a bit of a whipping, and
not even a whooping. I just needed them to just park the bus for a good 0-0 draw.
And Arsenal came and beat Man City 5-1.
Ever since fucking Haaland said, stay humble, they have taken a dive off a cliff.
Yeah, look, I mean, I was expecting Arsenal probably to come out on top, but 5-1's a real thrashing.
It's a thrashing.
But I think Pep's got his eye on this transfer window now to try and fix a couple of things. I think he's going to throw the whole kitchen sink at trying to win the Champions League, because they managed to sneak into the playoffs and hope that Rodri might be back and they find some form. But honestly, other than that, I literally think he's just...
If you look at the mistakes that they made, though, and how they gave the ball away for those goals.
So uncharacteristic,
If you look at that in its entirety, it's almost like that house of cards. You took one card out at the bottom, which was Rodri, and everything fell apart because it's 90%.
Even his marriage fell apart.
I mean...
Yes, he's going for the gullet.
No, but it's true.
We're not wrong. She did say his only love in life is football.
Yeah.
It's definitely not defending. Yeah, well done to Arsenal. They thumped them. There was a lot of... so Haaland said stay humble in the first leg, and Arsenal reacted. I think, what's the young kids? Skelly.
Yeah, Lewis Skelly. Yeah.
Lewis Skelly celebrated by doing the Haaland celebration. And after the game, they played, is it Wiz Khalifa?
No, it's Kendrick.
Kendrick Lamar.
Stay humble.
Stay humble. So one could argue that Arsenal finishing second twice, they should take something like that to heart and just stay humble until they win something. But they didn't. They said, fuck you, and we're going to rub it in your face.
For the neutral, the right result, I think. If you're looking at if you're watching the league to keep it interesting, 6 points is not crazy. You know, all of a sudden Liverpool lose one game and 3 points is all of a sudden like, whoa, you know, it's a game changer. So interesting to see how this league is going to develop. And everyone's predicting Liverpool at some point will slump, but so far no real signs of it, because that win against Bournemouth, I think you talk too lightly about how important and vital that win is. To beat Bournemouth, the run they've been on, and beat them 2-0 is good going.
Liverpool is currently sitting on 56 points and Arsenal on 50. But Liverpool's
We have a
got
game in hand.
one game in hand, exactly. Right behind them is Nottingham on 47. They had a bit of a blinder against Brighton, 7-0.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, a lot of people criticize Hutzler, the coach of Brighton, for his just blatant disregard for doing anything to try and stop goals flowing, because he's got his way of playing and they're quite open and expansive, and they got found out. But it is unbelievable that how Nottingham Forest, they just a train that won't stop. It gives kind of a little bit of a vibe of Leicester. Obviously, they're not going to go on and win the league. I think everyone said that about Leicester, but I think they definitely aren't. They're way too far behind. But that's kind of the energy that it gives you. You know, Chris Wood is the Vardy to Forest. You know, you've got Gibbs White, who's the Mahrez to, you know,
Anthony Elanga.
Yeah, and Elanga's doing amazing work. So incredible to see. And look, you know, Marinakis, the owner of Forest, was called a crazy guy for buying 22 players in one transfer window 2 years ago. But all these guys are the guys that are coming to the fore now. So they completely revamped that side and it's paying off. So let's see how long they can keep it up.
Very impressive coming back from a 5-0 loss to win 7-0. Brighton sort of have fallen by the wayside a little bit after starting the season quite hot. Interesting to see that, because I think everyone was touting them to make a top 4 run, and now they're just gonna sort of peter out in the top half of the table.
Also, highest net spend in the league by them, you know, this summer. So that's something also to think about. They spent the most money, but at the same time, they're a selling club and they'll keep going. And it's a young manager, his first season. I think it's good to just. There seems to be a lot of calm around Brighton, and they'll stay up and they'll do their thing. So
another big win for Everton versus Leicester, 4-0.
David Moyes turning it around. I mean, what an ingenious move by the owners of Everton to bring him back. I think he'll stabilize the club. I think he'll go into the new stadium with them, and there'll be a side that are comfortably staying in the Premier League, and he might give them the foundation to build looking forward. And I think, hey, it's ironic, but sometimes going back to the evil might be better to kind of get the club, because they brought him back after many years.
Wales tried with Gatland.
Yeah, but Gatland is
not him.
Gatland's not Moyes, you know.
So the other results that we had this weekend were Newcastle versus Fulham.
That's a big win for Fulham.
1-2.
Big win away from home.
Newcastle also just slight slump in form, and the fans starting to get quite upset there as well.
Yeah.
So that could quickly turn. Very interesting. There seems to be a lot of domino effects that potentially could happen in this home stretch now in this league. You know, if you're caught the wrong side of a bad run of form, you could easily slip 10 spots in the league at the moment. Come end of the season. So
join Tottenham in the relegation battle.
Yeah, although great win for them, it has to be said, beating Brentford.
Yeah, I don't think many people gave them a chance going in, because Brentford was so hot, and Tottenham are on a bit of a cooler. Good 2-0 win for them.
So we've got Man United down in 13th, and Tottenham down in 14th with 29 and 27 points respectively. Dom, is that somewhere where you expect Man U to finish the league?
No, of course not. It's also, I think, our worst run of home results since 1898. So it just shows you the signs there. But again, if there's any sort of logic and any sort of normal understanding and interpretation as a United fan right now, you just accept and you look to next season, because I think everything else is just stupid.
And Tottenham in 14th, we've got 2 massive Tottenham fans, not on the couch, but
it's tough for Tottenham, because they have to, in my opinion, keep hold of Ange, because there's no one else out there. They've tried everyone else. Nothing works any differently, so they've got to trust him. But they literally are in a relegation fight. If any of the other teams down there, I mean, Southampton are quite far off it, but Everton are now starting to pull away. Wolves are down there. Tottenham are down there. Leicester's down there. Do you keep him into next season? He's been given money to spend as well. It's not like that they haven't spent money. Fans always if they can't blame the coach, then the next thing they'll go for is the owner, and the owner does run it like he runs it like a business, not in the same way that the United owners ran it like a business, like sort of paying out dividends and making the club a cash cow, but bleeding it dry. He runs it like a business that's just extremely profitable, but for other reasons, hosting a lot of football games at the stadium. That stadium itself, building it, cost them a lot of money, holding concerts there and stuff. And I struggle to understand how it's his fault that Tottenham are in such a slump, unless he's too involved. If you do need to change the structure to make him less involved, then that seems like something quite easy. But to sell off the club seems like it's a stretch.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of people get into this whole hysteria about United and Spurs being down there. Let's be honest, neither of those sides are going to get relegated come hell or high water. I genuinely believe it.
That's what Dom thought about Hamburg.
No. Apples and pears here.
And they've never been back.
Apples and pears.
Remove that massive clock on the side of their building.
Having said that, I just think you're silly for thinking that that's going to happen. And I think these teams, we might end up.
Are you calling me silly?
No. I'm calling, you don't think we're going to, genuinely think we're going to get relegated.
No.
That's what I mean.
Tottenham are. I'm kidding.
But yeah, so I think, again, it's Tottenham, same thing, if I were him and he came out and said it, Ange, go out and try and win a trophy, whatever that trophy might be. Put all your eggs in one basket in that sense and go out there and try and win the League Cup. You're in a good position against Liverpool coming into the second leg on Thursday. You're in Europe still, and you're also still got the FA Cup. Put everything you can there. Make sure you get results every now and then. Who cares about league position? Because you're not getting into the Champions League. Consolidate and put your money where your mouth is, because the biggest thing and the best thing that can happen for Ange right now and this football club is to win a trophy. Yep. That's it.
100%.
Easy. Everything else is irrelevant.
And on that note,
let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap that up. We're going to move over to, as we always say, a ball that's the same roundness but a little bit smaller. Let's talk about some cricket.
Do we always say that?
Klaus has gotten into saying that.
I'm coining it.
I was about to say, I only missed like two podcasts.
Just like,
do we always say that?
Just like stamp your bum. This is the next thing that we're going to coin.
Cricket, the SA20. I think it's now being called the... I can activate.
I think now, I don't have a teleprompter.
Oh my word. The screen.
What am I going to say now? What am I going to say now? Oh, you need a password.
Oh, yeah.
Klaus, go use your finger there, bro.
Mein Geburts, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Thank God none of our fans speak German.
Or know your birthday.
Yeah. SA20, I think it's being termed the second biggest T20 competition in the world, obviously way behind IPL, but definitely you guys went to a game, said it was amazing. We've reached the end of the league phase. It's playoff time now. It's Paarl against Cape Town, which is a derby in the first qualifier. The playoffs in the SA20 work in a way that you've got the first game, so it's first versus second. The winner of that goes through to the final. The one who loses that, plays the winner of the second qualifier, which in this case is the Sunrisers Eastern Cape versus Joburg Super Kings. So if Cape Town, for example, beat Paarl, which on form they might, Paarl is not necessarily out of it because they play the winner of the second qualifier.
So you essentially get two chances at getting into the final.
If you finish second.
Or first.
Okay. Okay. So I was wondering how that worked. I was like, this makes no sense. Paarl's had a good round. Why are they being pitted against the best team?
So I think interesting to keep an eye on, but Cape Town are...
Yeah. On paper, like crazy side. And also it's interesting now, though, to see that even now, still now, there's some international guys coming into the mix.
Yeah.
Remember we watched the highlights of the BBL, the Big Bash League final. The guy that scored 100 in that final has now come in to join one of the sides. I forget who it is, but Owen is his name. He smashed the record 100 in the Big Bash League in the final, and he's come in. So it's interesting to see.
The Big Bash League is second to the IPL.
I don't think so. Apparently not in terms of commercial money. No.
Okay. Because
it's completely self-funded by the Australian Cricket Board as well.
Right.
It's a bit different.
Okay.
We've got a lot of foreign investment.
So we're like Manchester City.
Yeah.
We're the most profitable club in the world, but it's because our sponsors give us all our money.
Yeah. If Manchester City,
correct,
Newcastle, Paris Saint-Germain all played in the same league, that's what the SA20 is.
All right.
But exciting. It was awesome. I
Yeah.
loved every moment of it.
Klaus was saying again how he wished he had live sport to go to something like that. I mean, we do have live sport that we can go to, but a day out at the cricket when it's a T20 and it's a nice summer afternoon, I think it's hard to beat.
Looking at the playoffs and bearing in mind the league so far, but then also maybe what you've seen in games, who do you see making the finals?
I think it is going to be Paarl against Cape Town, a repeat of this qualifier.
Yeah, I don't see the Joburg Super Kings getting into the mix. I think the Sunrisers have quite an interesting side with Janssen in there as well, and they've got a couple of shining lights. The Joburg Super Kings is a weird bunch of players. It's just such a ragtag bunch of dudes. Does
Devon Conway play for them?
Yeah,
No, unfortunately.
Devon Conway.
Don't like that guy.
But also,
Really?
No, I'm joking. I'm just teasing because when he played against the My Cape Town, when we went to the game, he was so slow. He couldn't get himself to hit faster, and so
I mean, I think he is a specialty test batsman. But
and ODI, yeah. But I don't know who funds the catering for the Joburg Super Kings, but whoever does must have deep pockets. That is the fattest team of cricket players I have ever seen in my life. I wish they would. You know how they have pack weights in rugby? I wish they had pack weights in cricket. The boys are big. You've got like Pretorius is in there. You've got Johnny Bairstow, who looks like the love child of Ranatunga and Ed Sheeran. You've got
in there?
Shamsi's in there.
Shamsi's huge.
Then you've got the geriatric good old Imran Tahir, who I don't.
Yes, I was shocked to see that he's still playing.
I don't
But
even
how
know.
are those golden locks of his?
Yes.
It was the funniest thing that happened at the game against My Cape Town. He caught a catch, but like My Cape Town were cruising to victory, and he takes a catch in the outfield, Imran Tahir, and it's essentially just symbolic. It's just semantics.
And he goes off on his run.
And he throws the Sioux, the twice.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone in the stadium was just like, what are we doing exactly here? what are we, how's this, yeah. Anyway, so.
Been like if fucking Wales scored a drop kick.
Yeah.
And gone off and celebrated against France.
The funny thing is you've got these massive oaks playing in our team, and then you've got Faf du Plessis, and that guy is ripped. Yes.
Who are the fattest cricketers in history?
Ranatunga is definitely up there.
Inzamam ul Haq was
Inzamam ul Haq did well.
slow mover.
Good old
Yes.
Shane in his prime was also did
Shane
well.
was a chubby one. Jock Cullis was also not.
Lehman.
Oh yeah.
Lehman was a dickie.
Yeah.
What about Smith, eh?
Smith was
Yeah.
tubby.
Towards the end of his career, he did definitely put
Yeah.
back.
You didn't. There's.
Rory Kleinfeld.
Oh yeah.
Levy. He was
huge.
dark, bro.
Cricket is a strange one because you've got, I think whenever you're in the slip cordon fielding, you're not doing much. You're just standing there the whole day. If you're in the outfield, you're doing a little bit of movement. If you're a bowler, I think unless you're a spin bowler, you have to be quite fit. But it's similar to golfers in a sense that the modern athlete in them has made them fitter, but the classic cricketer or golfer can still be just an average run-of-the-mill dude.
100%.
Like us.
And also, it's so funny. It's so funny what I love about it. Sometimes a guy will come on bowler spell, a bit of the bigger boy. Next minute you see he's on the bench. They've subbed him out for a fielder. Then when he's ready to come back and bowl, they bring him back on. Particularly in T20 cricket, they don't have to. In Test cricket, they have to be on field again for a certain amount of time to be allowed to bowl again. Whereas in T20 cricket, it's way more laissez-faire. So these guys will come on, bowl 2 overs, and then they'll put them on the bench and then bring them back into Tubby Tubster will come in and bowl another 6 balls.
You love to see it.
It's a lot of fun. The SA20 and the playoffs start this week. I think the first game is going to be tomorrow, Paarl versus Cape Town, and then on the 7th, I think, is the Sunrisers Eastern Cape versus Super Kings, the Joburg team. Let's move to an even smaller ball. Golf, Pebble Beach this weekend, AT&T, and we had our Irish friend
2 hole in
win
ones.
again. 2 hole-in-ones,
Mhm.
2 aces.
You've got to clarify which Irish.
I'm talking about Rory McIlroy.
Northern Irish.
Northern Irish.
Oh.
Yeah, not Lowry.
Because he finished second.
He did finish second. He played very well. But Rory McIlroy really dominated. I think he finished 3 shots ahead of the second or 2 shots, 3 or 2 shots. Round 1 being 66, round 2 70, round 3 65, and round 4 66. A very consistent and very consistently low.
Going into the waste management.
God, let's see what I can. I'm looking forward to all the footage around that. But they said they're going to try and pedal back this year.
Yeah, because they can't go bigger.
No,
They really have to control those people because I think the best thing about the waste management is the videos of the fans and how drunk they get.
Yeah,
That was it the 16th one.
That 16th is crazy.
And there's that. I think there's one hill. I don't know where it is there, but there's always like.
Oh yeah.
And these oaks get so paralytically drunk.
It's like that hill at the Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest,
I was thinking of the same thing.
Yeah.
The Puke Hill.
How's that TGL, the last one? I know the next one will be tonight, but on the TGL, Tiger's team played Rory's. What is it? It's Jupiter versus Boston. Jupiter won. It was the first TGL event that was close, and it gave you a glimpse of what the TGL will be capable of when it's close and you need characters in it. I'm sorry, they need to. If you're a good golfer, but you're a beige character, you're not there.
But
because
we also don't need I don't need plastic characters either, like Billy Horschel. Like he tried his thing, it was just lame. Also, 60% more viewership for this game. Tiger and Rory are the headline names.
But for me, the star of the show was Tom Kim.
100%.
Because he brings the energy, because he brings that in the President's Cup as well, and he brought it to, like, in the beginning, you're like, dude, don't get so intense, it's just a TGL game. But then, when it started getting close and you saw it, and he was dragging the other guys along with him, it makes sense that you need people like that.
I wonder if they'll pull any more star power down the line. If down the line you move away from it only being pros and you get in some kind of some celebrity names.
I was also thinking
I think that would be a fantastic a fantastic way to kind of really give it that star power. And I think it's really accessible. I think even a 10 handicap or a 16 handicap or whatever, you can get down and whack it on that screen. And if it goes out of bounds, who
the
cares?
holes that they've made, though, look intense.
Yes, those diamonds, triangles.
They say that they've set up a whole design studio just for that. So the courses are going to get crazier and more creative as the time goes on. So it's going to be interesting.
Speaking of personalities, who's a player or two players or three players that you would think would be a perfect match for this type of competition in terms of personality now?
Finau should be in there, in my opinion. I think he's one that stands out that maybe could be there. Even someone like Joel Darman, just because he's got such a big following, I think could be really interesting. You've got a couple of funny. I mean, someone like Tyrrell Hatton would be brilliant as well.
That was what Klaus was trying to bait into.
Yeah, Tyrrell's a good name.
Another guy who I think is also good.
But I think it's difficult. It's difficult to get that balance because you want the best players in the world, and unfortunately, a Keegan Bradley is just not going to give you. He's not Mr. Congeniality. He's not going to give you that, but you want the best players. So it is a bit of a juxtaposition.
Yeah, for sure. Who's the other one you got?
I think Bryson DeChambeau would be quite good. I think he's got a great following, and then on top of that, he's also got that experience of talking to an audience with his YouTube channel.
I wonder if Liv has an exclusivity deal with them that they can't play in other leagues because nothing should prevent them from playing on the TGL because it's not associated to the PGA Tour.
I wouldn't be surprised if it. I mean, I think these things take a long time to form, and I think the TGL was probably kind of brought into existence during the whole fight still, and I think you might see them bleed guys as time goes on.
I don't think they have an exclusivity clause
because they play on like some Asian tour events and stuff because Bryson just played in India.
Yeah,
that's my observation of the week.
as long as there's no
my player of the week. Sorry,
I think as long as there's no.
Glass, you've missed it, bro.
Well, you decided to talk about my tights instead.
It was you or DeChambeau.
Jeez, I'm in good company. No, but I think they only have clauses in terms of as long as nothing clashes with the old schedule, they don't care. I don't think they care.
Quick look to America because we hardly ever go there. Big news today out of the NBA. Doncic was traded from Dallas to the LA Lakers.
Yes.
Seems like everyone was shocked. The players on the Lakers were shocked. Doncic himself was shocked. It's strange how that works in the NBA. You don't know that you're traded necessarily. Like you find out sometimes when the public finds out, which is seemingly what happened now. He penned quite an emotional letter to the Dallas fans saying he thought he was going to retire there and he just loved his time there. But yeah, I think the owners, for some weird reason, after they've built this franchise around this guy, have said it's now time for you to go.
Any people that are better versed in NBA can correct me if I'm wrong, but I also read that you get like these legacy contracts that come from a certain amount of time. That I think it's called a legacy contract. I think that's the term for it. But there's a big contract that you become due for depending on your contribution to a team for a certain period of time. So if you cross the threshold, you become due or you become eligible for like a massive contract. Like, I don't know if it's lifetime, but it's huge, and it's quite inflated. And a lot of people saying that that's one of the reasons why the Mavericks ownership decided to move him on, because he was about to become eligible or will become eligible for that, and it can cripple a franchise to a certain degree. Particularly, I mean, if Doncic stays at this level that he's at now for the rest of his career, no problem. But players just drop off, of course.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons, apparently. And the Lakers have a really big pool, and
That's true.
Yeah.
All right.
I think
Quick look ahead. We've got the Super Bowl coming
Exactly.
Sunday evening / Monday morning. Eagles versus Kansas City. Any predictions from you boys?
I don't know the first thing about NFL, so I'll be just stabbing in the dark here. I'm going to go with Kansas.
Okay.
Must I give a
Going
score
with
now?
I think
No.
no. Go for the first three-peat ever, Kansas.
That's the one.
The only reason I would go for Kansas is because I think they've done it before, and that squad of players has done it before, and the coach has done it before. So usually that's a good thing to bet on. But the Eagles, I think, are in terms of on the field, I think they are the favorites from what playing wise in terms of their game and their squad. On paper, the better side from what I've read.
I've got money on that, so we'll see.
Who did you bet on?
Kansas.
Okay.
I thought you were going to go Eagles.
Should we get into our top 5?
Sorry,
Yes.
did you guys see the mayor of wherever chanting for the Eagles? And she's
No.
like, yes, our Eagles are going to do it. Come on, say it with me. Give me an E. Give me a G.
Oh, shit.
Give me an S. Give me an L. Give me an E. Give me an S. Eagles.
Oh, shit, yeah, no. Listen,
No.
I think when you're under pressure and you're in public, try not to spell anything because it can get ahead of you.
Iglesias.
Enrique.
Oh my God, that's so bad.
All right. Top 5 this week. This week, we are doing top 5 sports documentaries. Just to clarify, it's not a sports, what was I saying earlier? Sports, like
Biopic.
A biopic. Yeah.
So it has to be an actual documentary. It can be in the form of a show with multiple episodes. I think we are differentiating between sequels. But if it's one series or one show, then it's one documentary. If I'm not mistaken, I finished first last week again.
Just remind us what was the topic last week?
Top teams of all time. And I think, without sounding like a bully, I think your misguided Juventus pick really fucked you. Because I don't think it's even the best Juventus team they've had. But, ChatGPT gave that to you and you took it, and you took no votes. I'm going to go first.
I'll go third.
And I'll be the biggie in the middle.
All right. I think this one's a bit of a...
It's pandering to the audience here, guys.
It's not pandering to the audience because it's also the best one I've ever seen. It's Chasing the Sun 1. It's the best documentary, in my view, that's ever been made about sports.
Very, very, very good shout.
Yes, that's very good. And I would have to agree with you. Something that's also a series that I thought was really good was the Michael Jordan documentary series, The Last Dance.
Yes. That is a good one.
Very good.
I don't watch basketball, and I thought that was one of the...
I bought into that so
I
hard.
was also
one of the
fixated.
most, one of the best made ones, because you know about Michael Jordan, but you don't necessarily maybe know the ins and outs, and definitely very well done.
Brilliant.
100%.
I am going with Icarus,
Ugh.
which is the Russian doping one. If you haven't watched it, you
That's
have
so
to watch
good.
it. The main protagonist in it is this Russian scientist, and he's a
Wild.
fucking goofball.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of the movie, I have to say it, is when he arrives at the airport to be picked up by the American journalist. And then he meets the journalist's dog, and he goes, "Is he castrated?" Before he says anything else to this guy.
Yeah.
But definitely watch it. It's about the Russian
So
doping collusion the Russian involvement
good.
in state doping it was Sochi, right? For the Olympic Games in Sochi.
Because it starts
It's actually about how to replicate the doping scandal
The Tour de France.
revolving around Lance Armstrong.
and
It's essentially a rabbit hole, that he goes
and
into.
then it's suddenly and it's cool that they left it like that and sort of were like, this is what we started in, and then just very good.
The pivot is part of the injury.
Brilliant. That's a much watched. My second one is, I think, one that I don't know if all of us watched this, but I've watched it and I recommend to everyone is Senna. Senna is really, really good, particularly even if you're not into Formula One, just what he did for the sport and everything. A very good documentary. So Senna's
I hope I have enough things on my list here because these things are dropping like flies. Yeah.
I'm also a bit nervous. Mine is also going to be an F1 documentary, or in this case, a documentary series. And I think the reason that this is so cool, Drive to Survive 1, is because it was the pioneer in creating all the Six Nations full contact. I'm not going to go through all of them because I don't want to ruin the picks for anyone. But I thought that was a really great series.
Yeah, definitely changed the game for the sport as well, because one could say that motorsport or F1 was dying out a little bit in terms of the fans that they had were the fans they had, and this opened up a completely new demographic.
For sure. I've only got one pick.
Yeah.
Oh,
because he's in the
true.
middle.
I'm gonna go with Welcome to Wrexham as the next one.
No. So good. So
I think that what the two of them have done with Wrexham's really cool, and I really enjoy watching the documentary.
On course to be promoted again, by the way, which is crazy.
They're in
into
it,
the
which is
championship.
nuts.
That's
is that
wild.
back to back then, eh?
Back to back.
Yeah,
Back to back.
Yeah.
Oh, unreal.
Unbelievable.
And I'm going to follow that up with Fire in Babylon. We spoke about it last week, and it's a great documentary about the West Indies.
I've got a documentary that came out pretty recently, and it's about David Beckham. I think it's just called Beckham.
It is.
And I thought that was a great documentary showcasing not only the sport and England, but him as a personality.
Yeah. Larger than life individual.
Number 3 for me is a umbrella for documentaries, and it is Last Chance U.
Very good.
And I must say, I got addicted to that show at a while. Eventually, they disappoint you too often. But for context for everyone, it's a show about the doldrums of college sports in the United States, and it's called Last Chance U because a lot of these college athletes who were like Division 1 end up at like some buttfuck town in Arkansas, and
because they've done something
they've
wrong,
done something, or they're not disciplined enough, or they can't
keep their
academically
grades
they're
up,
not good enough. And there's multiple seasons at different teams of football, but then also a season of basketball.
The first player from Last Chance U is, I think, actually up for, not the first player, but the only one that's sort of making it through the ranks is actually coming up and might be eligible to be drafted soon as a quarterback.
Okay.
He had, I think it was in the second season, and he had that like bleached hair.
Oh yeah. Like proper child star vibes, right? With his dad that was always at the games and stuff. Yeah. Oh wow.
I'm not sure what his name is, but he's coming up for, I think, for drafting.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Didn't that Tim Bow also come through that?
Tim Tebow, no.
Was that a different documentary?
Tim Tebow is the poster boy for Christian down the middle living.
Yeah, but he was also in one of those documentary series.
He is in a documentary, but it's about the Gators, about Florida's
okay.
And
American
he's
football
married
team.
to Demi Lee, whatever her name is, she, the former Miss Universe.
They were joking
South
because they've
African.
just had a child, which means that he's had intercourse for the first
Is he
time.
not married?
He is married, but he waited.
But he waited.
Oh.
Or so he says.
Yeah.
I mean, the Jonas Brothers also wore promise rings, and we... Anyway, moving on. My next pick is Motorball, and it's a bit of an older one. I don't know if you guys know this. It's really, really good. It's pretty damn intense. It's about wheelchair rugby, and it's from 2005. That's definitely one you should watch. Bit off the sort of off the beaten track, but really good. So, Motorball is not my number 4.
My number 4 is a documentary about veganism and how that can benefit you in sport called Game Changer.
Yeah.
The reason I put it on is because it was so good that it had me convinced to a large extent that if I started living a more vegan lifestyle, that it would benefit me physically and health-wise.
That thing stirred the pot, eh?
It proved to be very controversial.
Yeah.
It was that same time of Game Changer and then Seaspiracy right afterwards.
Yeah.
And then people were like, hold on, that's not quite true, and hold on, that's not quite true, and
Yeah.
that's only half the story. So they got debunked a little bit, but really good, really good,
sure.
good watch.
Exactly,
good watch.
exactly what you said. The way it was made was just so convincing. So yeah, I'm going to give it tops for that.
My next one is a documentary on Amazon about the Ashes. It's called The Test. Really good. Obviously, the last one was really good because of that Bairstow run-out incident where he just left his crease and was stumped. Good cinema. My last one is tough now because I've got 3 ones and they're all German.
Immediate disqualification.
And I'm just trying to think which one is the best one. I think for me, the best one is Deutschland ein Sommermärchen. It's about the 2006
Very good, yeah.
World Cup that was here in Germany. Germany had been struggling up until then and put a run together that brought them all the way to the semi-final where they lost to Italy. But that whole World Cup in Germany was good weather, good vibes, good football, and the whole thing was made into a documentary. So that'll be my last one.
Thought you were going to go for Rewe an der Kasse. No, I'm kidding. So that's a German.
If anything, that's a fucking horror movie, not a documentary.
Oh God.
Okay, the one that I'm going to go with. You guys will need to tell me if it's classified as an umbrella documentary series or not. The All or Nothing documentary series,
Yes.
or if you would like me to specify one, I can also specify one.
Yeah, I think that one.
Then I will go rugby themed and go with All or Nothing All Blacks.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Nice. I haven't watched any of. I've watched All or Nothing Sunderland. Really good watch as well because that's deep dark and terrible times that they go through.
I'm surprised you didn't pick the cheerleading documentary that you watched recently about the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
Didn't want to pander to the audience. I know how much they love it.
Klaus was into that.
My let me see your hands.
Anna Kate, man, she's so good.
Klaus, let me see your hands. Anyway, my last one is my number 5 is Pumping Iron, the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary.
Good one.
What blew me, like, I never really got the whole Arnold Schwarzenegger thing because to me he was just a terrible actor with an Austrian accent who was large. But if you actually watch that documentary, it's insane how he created a scene.
Yeah.
And a scene from nothing, from like the most obscure of places in Austria, and that's quite impressive. So I like it when you leave a documentary and you're like, whoa, this has enriched me.
I think when you talk about like a self-made man, he's someone who just became something new and re-envisaged and stuff like that. To go from nothing to being a bodybuilder to being an actor to being a politician is quite it's a very interesting route. Obviously, Pumping Iron is not all about that, but it's that. I mean, I should have picked that as what I work in. Jesus.
Fair enough.
It's too close to home for you.
All right. Let's rattle down the lists again. I've got Chasing the Sun, Welcome to Wrexham, Fire in Babylon, The Test, and Deutschland ein Sommermärchen.
My picks were The Last Dance, Drive to Survive Season 1, Beckham, the documentary, Game Changers, and All or Nothing. The one that I picked was All Blacks.
Very happy with my list, actually. It came up better than I thought it would. But Icarus at number 1,
you did.
Senna number 2, Last Chance You number 3, Murder Ball number 4, and then Pumping Iron number 5.
Oh. My big hope is that my Chasing the Sun pick garners me a lot of favorites with our fans because that's what I'm relying on for next week.
Remember, everybody, it's the whole list. The whole list.
No, don't listen to him.
The whole list.
Don't get stuck on just one selection.
The sum of all the parts.
If anyone has any ideas for top 5s that they'd like to hear, if you care enough about what our top 5s are, please feel free to put it in the comments or fax us.
Yeah. Or Telegram.
Yeah. Plays of the week. Klaus, why don't you take it away with the spoiled one that you had?
The spoiled one that we had was the one where Bryson DeChambeau went and played in an Asian tour event. I think it was in India. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it was India. The reason why I think it's so cool that he did that is because Bryson DeChambeau has always been very vocal, especially on his YouTube channel, that he wants to grow the sport. That's his number one goal in life. And
Putting his money where his mouth is.
So he is putting his money where his mouth is. He went and he played there, and you could see by the comparison, having a guy of that stature at the tournament, how many fans rocked up in comparison to years gone by. And the footage that I saw was only of I think it was of the Friday round. So if you imagine what it would have been like on a Saturday and Sunday, that's quite a big draw.
It's also a crazy golf course. You should definitely check it out. Anyone who's into golf, check out that venue. It is wild.
Really?
It is a wild golf course. Also, I think maybe a little bit of precursor of more of what we're going to see from India with the talks of with Jake Paul or Logan Paul versus McGregor. Big money being spent by the Indian government to try and get tourism up there as well. So we might see a bit of a space race between Saudi and India to try and host more events.
Interesting.
So keep a lookout for that.
Interesting. Dom, do you have a play of the week for us?
I do. From the obscure world of lower level rugby, and it's a play of the week only because I don't know who to praise, but Georgia beat Switzerland 110-0 in a game.
Jesus.
And I think I'm gonna praise the Georgia admin on Instagram for saying incredible fight from the Swiss rugby team. Thank you for the great battle. And then they posted a picture of one of their players scoring a try with 110-0 as the scoreline. I think that is a monumental play of the week.
That's such a slap in the face.
And the poor Swiss couldn't have happened to a nicer nation.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer bunch of people. My play of the week to round it off goes to the first ever guy to beat Lionel Messi's bodyguard. So Messi in the MLS has his own personal bodyguard who's constantly walking around the field for the inevitable moment when someone jumps the band and tries to get to Messi, and he's always stopped them in the past. He's a huge guy. He doesn't give a shit if you're a 4-year-old kid or if you're a grown man. He's going to tackle you and prevent you from getting to him. The first dude ever outmaneuvered him and got to Messi.
That bodyguard is unreal. I've seen footage of him taking
huge.
people down, and I'm just like, why don't you play football?
He's
Or
big,
why don't
but
you
he's
play
also
rugby?
he's big, but he's like a pocket rocket. Like
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, I think he's Lebanese or something. So he's kind
They
of
should have the
scary
same
guy.
thing that they do at what games were we watching? Was it South African rugby games, where they had amateur rugby players
Yes.
to tackle streakers?
That was in Nelspruit.
Nelspruit.
Yes. And
Yeah.
remember that black guy who took out the fatty?
Yes.
He knocked his head on the ground so hard. He was out cold.
Well, he essentially just picked him up, turned him around, and then just dropped him on his head.
Yeah.
The other one, you got tackled from behind. You just like face planted.
That got me to thinking, though, just to round off, is I don't understand that unbelievable desire to have a selfie with an athlete to do that, because I don't know what it gets you. Like if you're running up to him, make him give you like €1 million.
And then in these stadiums, don't you get blacklisted and you're never allowed back in again?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Yeah.
The risk is too high for
I don't think you're missing out on that much when you just get banned from the MLS. I think it's shit.
Okay, MLS,
think
fine.
you're right.
But if you're like at
I
an
don't know,
international finals or something like that,
I've
people still run into the field.
I've never understood the hype. The one person I think I would get really... There's two people that I would get actually genuinely flustered by, or like be maybe taken aback in the sporting world.
Nelson Mandela.
Actually,
Cristiano Ronaldo.
no, actually not. 3. I would say 3. Tiger Woods, I think I'd be in awe. Roger Federer, just because I just have so much respect for the guy. And then the other one is Sir Alex. That's Telegraph. But
Good list.
I think the rest of them is like kind of like, oh, it's nice to meet you, and I think you would enjoy the conversation with them. But this like desire to then, I don't think I'd even take a selfie. Like for me, it's about the moment and like sharing, like speaking to them and trying to get some value out of the moment as opposed to a selfie. I mean, I can ask chat like the AI tool to make a selfie with me and Sir Alex.
You got to invite them to a steak. Just like maximize your time you can spend with them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to invite Sir Alex Ferguson to a steak. Do you want a steak?
Or do you want to stamp on the bum? On that note, I think it's time to end. Thanks a lot. It's good to be back with you guys in the same room.
Smells a bit funny, but it's nice.
Very nice to be
The whole
here.
apartment,
Doesn't
smells
smell
funny.
Doesn't smell funny. I was joking. That was just I'm in
It
the
was the
same
lady who
room as you.
farted outside.
There you go.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Cheers.
Bench opinions. 3 idiots with amateur analysis.